Just as a reminder for those that are here already, if you have questions that you'd like us to answer at the end of the call, during the call, please post them in the stage questions channel, not in the stage chat room, like where you just send messages. And aside from that, I think we're just going to start because it's 4:02. So welcome everyone to our October community call. Today, Spartacus Rex is not going to be joining us, but we'll still be going over a lot of things. So stay focused, and I'll also be going over certain things regarding the community. I don't know if I missed something.
No, that's good. Cool. So I'll kick off. So firstly, thank you for joining us. Really good to see you all. For those of you who are new to the group, because I know we've got quite a few new people joining, which is fantastic. I'm Hugo, I'm co-founder and CEO here at Minima. Also joined obviously with Neo, who's head of community, got Luke, who's head of comms, Adam, who's head of partnerships, and Jad, who's head of product delivery. So hopefully we'll be covering off all different aspects. We've had some great questions being put into the chat today, so we'll be answering those. We'll try not to repeat ourselves, but we might need to do that just to cover off all the questions as well. But so before we get into that, just wanted to sort of, I guess I got two areas I really want to talk about. The second being native listing, which I'll come on to in a second, but really just to sort of, I guess, just put into context a little bit where we've been and where we're going. Basically, I mean, obviously, we've been building for a long time. 2019, we've always had sort of very big plans about what we're looking to achieve. And it's been something that we've been working hard on, and I think that the great thing is so many things about around success is based on timings, and I think that Minima is in the right place at the right time for so many things in terms of where we are with our technology and therefore where we can therefore grow as well. If we look back in history, back in 2007. I was working as general manager at Sony Europe across audio and computer divisions. And we had some good products on the table, but then suddenly iPhone arrived and created a huge disruption. And one of the products that we had was a sort of a navigation unit called NavView, which wasn't overly successful, but it was doing quite well. But our biggest competitor at the time was Nokia, who were obviously the biggest mobile phone company at the time. And when smartphone was invented by Apple, they basically did a big acquisition. Nokia did a big acquisition of a company called Navtech, which is an $8 billion acquisition, because they realized that they weren't going to be able to compete on the smartphone market. So they wanted to basically sort of own the sort of navigation and mapping market. So they bought Navtech for $8 billion in order to try and corner that market where they could effectively have sensors on the side of the road and continue to sell their hardware in order to own that side of the market. But at the same time, the smartphone came along, and a little company called Waze also came along and decided it'd be really clever to put a little bit of software into all the devices that people suddenly had in their pockets and in their cars in order to be able to create a mapping system that was far more accurate and far more real-time than anything from sort of dedicated hardware. And I like to think that that was an amazing sort of confluence of timing and technology, in terms of the technology was suddenly there with smartphones to allow that kind of technology to happen. And if you think of sort of existing blockchains that have been built up in terms of big amounts of hardware, big investment costs on that, lots of servers to be able to run these things. The difference between Waze coming in and being able to go where the consumers are, put together, it's a huge advantage. And I think that's where Minima comes along and into its own as well. Because of our very compact and lean architecture, we're able to start to actually get into the devices that are going to be everywhere, ubiquitous, all the connected devices in the world at the edge. And obviously, there's a lot of questions around it, a lot of talk about our upcoming partnership within the within sort of chip, and actually be able to put Minima on chip. And I think that that has only been possible because of obviously the technology is now there in terms of edge devices, in terms of the compute power and the functionality of those. But we're now able to put a blockchain onto these chips. We're unique in that respect in terms of our architecture and our design. So we can now create the ability for edge devices, whether mobile phones, cars, sensors, anything like that, to be able to communicate securely, transact securely, even generate tokens on device as well. And we believe that is going to be where the future of blockchain is going to be. So, it's a very exciting time for us, and we're talking to both enterprise side and also investor side, and everyone is seeing that as a huge a step forward in terms of where blockchain can actually add value to sort of the connected world. So I'm very excited about that. Obviously, we'll get into more detail in terms of the specifics in this call. But as I say, as a sort of a very macro level, it definitely feels like we are positioned in the right place at the right time. So very exciting about that. The other side, which I know that everyone is also very keen to hear about, is our native listing. So as you'll know, those who've been in the community for a long time, and it's been a long time in the coming, we've basically been getting our technical integration together to be able to achieve that. Jazz will take you through a little bit more detail on how we've actually done it. But suffice to say that we now have a number of listings confirmed. Our first listing date will be on the 5th of November. The exchange will be announcing this a few days before, as per their normal protocol, so we can't mention the actual name now. But the 5th of November is now set in stone. And then we'll be following that up with a second native listing during November as well. So obviously there'll be more sort of comms about that as well. But we're very excited to finally be getting Native Minima listed on exchanges. And I think this can be a huge boost to us and our sort of accessibility to a broader mass market as well. So very excited about that. So on that note, I will hand over to Luke to give us a quick update from the comm side, and then over to the other guys as well. And then what we'll do is we'll get into the questions that have arisen. And as Neo said, if you've got any more questions that arise, please put them into the chat and also into the staged questions in Discord, and we will try and get to as many of them as possible. So again, thanks for coming, and I'll hand over to Luke.
Cheers, Hugo. Thanks for that. Very exciting times. I'm sure the community are very excited to hear that date, and I'm sure we'll be seeing lots of chatter about that over the coming weeks. On the comms and sort of marketing side, the most recent thing we did was we, as many of you will know, we were at Brands Hatch, which is a motor racing circuit in the UK over the last weekend. And I have to say, I had a lot of fun chatting with members of the community who were following along live on race day. For the team to walk away with a trophy was a fantastic result for everyone as well. There's a team, this is Race Lab, on the rise, and of course, exciting action equals camera time for the car, and we had our logo all over it this time around, so puts our brand front and centre. Great as that is, though, it was secondary to why we were actually there. We had great meetings and discussions with stakeholders in the motorsport project, including the SRO, who are the regulators and organisers, and not just the British GT, but hundreds of other races and competitions around the world. The aim here is to work towards something called homogenisation, which is a fancy word which means the regulator ultimately authorising and directing all the cars in a given series to run our tech in race weekends. You can expect to hear more from this as we move towards the end of the year, as we aim to take the McLaren Artura to the Middle East in November to run in some race weekends, demonstrating and capturing the full fan engagement product working in anger to add another chapter to our future of motorsport video series, so keep an eye out for that. Looking then to our broader marketing timeline, there are a number of strands that we will be promoting. We should have a new website live in time for that listing. And of course, there is the listing itself, so there'll be lots of marketing happening around that. We'll also be speaking at the TAS Mobility Blockchain Conference, which we are sponsoring on October 17th. This conference will be taking a deep dive into blockchain's impact on autonomous, connected, electrified and shared vehicles, together with manufacturers, mobility service providers, developers, investors and policymakers. It's set to be a great event with practical demonstrations of blockchain, including Minima, And did I mention, I don't think I did, that it's both online and free to attend. So it'll be well worth dropping by. You can get yourself a ticket now at taas.technology/register. That's taas.technology/register. I look forward to seeing you all there. In addition to this then, we before the end of the year, you will see a huge strategic advisor announced. We're going to have the announcement of our chip partner. We're going to have delivery of new technology built on Minima for minimalists and industry alike, including a block explorer. We've got partner announcements in Deepin and RWA, some of which will be with global powerhouses, so keep an eye out for that. We've got some community initiatives to help drive awareness, which Near Potential will touch on later. We've got detail on our new grant program for projects looking to build on Minima. And we will also be having paid advertising on multiple channels to raise awareness of both Minima, the project, but also the projects we have within the business, such as motorsport. And of course, with the new website will come an updated roadmap. Before I hand back, I'd also like to talk briefly on something that I've seen coming up more and more within the community channels that I think is worth addressing. I have seen a lot of questions around what we as a team are doing to market ourselves, which of course are totally fine, totally fair, and we will always answer. To which the answer is loads. But what I haven't been seeing is the community asking what you can do to help. Because the fact is, the best marketing we could actually ask for is for people other than us getting out there and talking about the project, sharing our posts, sharing our media. We call this social proof, and we can and do work to promote Minima everywhere we can. But it is that combined with others talking about it that convinces others that we are worth paying attention to and are worth their time. So if you're not already, I ask you to help us raise awareness of Minima, share our content, share our media, and work alongside us to help grow the community further. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you, Luke. My turn. So I just want to touch on that actually quickly. Luke is very right when he says that we do also depend on all of you to help us market Minima. And the proof is we saw what that could do with the Zealy competition. So I was actually going to go over the Zealy competition and how it went. But basically, overall, we had 3,000 people join to find out more about Minima and help it grow. For a total of 15,000 claimed quests, which is quite a lot. And the overall feeling was that the result was what we were looking for. And as such, we've noticed a few more residents, I like to call them, people who added themselves to our community. And they regularly contribute on a daily basis or a weekly basis. At the moment, though, another Zealy campaign, it would be beneficial to Minima, but we've decided to stick to our guns in preparation for 2025. So, I mean, that may change, but for now, you cannot expect a Zealy campaign anytime soon. And I'd like to also remind you all that aside from that, we have the build website, which has grown quite a lot since the Zealy campaign as well. So if you have ideas, it's a place where you can submit them and learn to build your dApps, your projects. Aside from that, well, for the rest, again, a lot of things are going on, and the whole team as a whole has got a lot of things to focus on the short term. Personally, I haven't been giving many updates on my site, but my priority is to bring these community calls on YouTube, like streamed, for those of us or those of you that do not really like Discord. And ensuring that the next Zealy campaign we will have, which we will go smoothly. Regarding Discord, I did want to say some of you may have noticed the changes around a few months ago with the fact that you can't send links anymore and kind of discuss the way you could. I'm sorry about that. And we're working on finding a solution to be able to whitelist more links, but we've hit a cap. And the Discord server is also going to be slightly reworked, just to make it easier to use, less packed, and just fixing up some channels. Before I pass on to Adam, though, We've just finished inviting more testers to help us test Minima and the new MIDI dApps, and we've reached a cap for the Play Store testers. But if some of you would still like to join us, we've got space either with the manual APK download or for those of you who use your computers to run nodes. So just if that's the case, if you'd like to join, just let me know or let a mod know or ask in the chat, and you'll get an answer. Now, I think I can pass on to Adam.
Great. Thank you very much, Leo. So I'm Adam Feiler, Head of Partnerships, and I've been working for the last 3 years to get or generate enterprise adoption. And as Hugo and Luke have been communicating, that the focus has been adoption for community members to use Minima as a blockchain that runs in full on mobile. Equally, our growth strategy in parallel to this is adoption for enterprise clients. And so we've made announcements over the last few years about the work that we've done in mobility. This is one very important stream for us for a number of reasons. That everybody understands that everything is going towards digital, and that in the mobility space, in the past, physical safety of passengers has been of paramount importance. And as everything is moving towards the digital space now, the digital security is of equal importance. And so blockchain technology obviously has a huge role to play. And so the previous projects, the proof of concepts, and now the work that we're doing in motorsport has similar implications, that we as Minima can secure data and attest data at source, and therefore make it both more valuable and useful, but also trusted by third parties. So we've had some very positive partnerships that are now moving into pilot scale contracts, and we will be able to announce in the coming weeks a partnership that is going to allow us to actually test this technology in real world applications. So as many of you will know from the community, we've been working on the tokenization of payments for EV charging, with the use case of allowing private wallbox owners to rent their wallbox to others. And this is made possible when you have a blockchain technology sitting both at the wallbox and on a user's phone. So this is work that we're able to explain and promote. And as I mentioned, we'll be giving more information about partnership and roadmap in the next few weeks. Another partnership and a sort of incubator of work that we have done, we were working with Worldline last year. A number of you followed us as we went to Paris. We presented in their Innovation Challenge. Spartacus Rex was there, Jazz was there, and we presented a use case which is related to EV charging, but more general on offline payments and secure payments. And Worldline are now following up with all of the 12 startups that participate in the competition with a video and information piece that's coming out over the next months. They've released several of the startups already, and Minima participated in the filming day last week, and we will be releasing that on LinkedIn and other channels again in a couple of weeks. And so that is tracking both the project that we worked on and also our forward-thinking roadmap. And thanks to that accelerator, we have now actually discussed several other revenue opportunities within Worldline with their clients and with their product base, where they see an immediate need for this type of for our type of solution. So again, these incubating and startup programs tend to be very beneficial. And finally, for me, just an update on our Singapore trip. So 2 weeks ago, we were in Singapore. Minima hosted a side event at Token 2049, which was well received. It was actually the video of our motorsport solution, where we have shown this documentary, and I think many people have seen already, where we showed the actual use of Minima generating tokens in real time from race cars. So we took the opportunity to show this at the Token 49 event, and we had, between the 6 of us who attended, hundreds of meetings with potential partners, with existing partners. Again, a lot of focus still on deep in and deep in applications. But what's so nice about this space is that it has moved quite quickly from when we first started working with projects last year to this year, where they're actually getting products out, they've got companies formed, and there's adoption. So we are in a very strong position with our ecosystem of partners and pipeline. But again, I think that it's important to note that although many blockchain projects out there have a scatter diagram of hundreds of projects that they work with, we always take the approach of quality over quantity. And the partnerships we announced and the projects that we're working on together are genuine projects where we feel that both parties benefit from this collaboration. So the use of Minima's blockchain in deep in applications will really have value when it's driving adoption for nodes running on devices or people actually benefiting from the deep in use case. So again, with the announcements that are coming out, this will be around and after our first launch of our native token. But we can also mention that there was the Formula One at the end of the week. Luke and I and Pete had a privilege to attend that, and just to say that our technology didn't go unnoticed in the F1 arena as well. So some conversations were had, and these are deepening now in the next couple of weeks, where there was a very real interest in what we've done in the GT series and questions if this can be adapted to the Formula One. So I can't give you too much information for now, but watch this space. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Adam. So now we're just going to have the last person go through the most important, Jazmin, and then we'll head on the question.
Thanks, Neo. Thanks for the update to everyone else. Adam, that sounds very exciting. So on the product side, we have 4 main areas of focus at the moment. Obviously, improving the experience for existing node runners. Secondly, developing methods for increased public interaction with Minima. Thirdly, integrations with partners, exchanges, and other third parties who want to use Minima. And finally, improving the developer experience so that we can build more utility on the Minima network. So firstly, existing node runners, we have an upcoming release with various mini-DApp enhancements, and we're also focusing on improving our vitals in the Google Play Store as well. So in the next couple of weeks, a new version will be out, and look forward to getting that out there. In terms of public-facing development and getting wider adoption for Minima for people who don't necessarily run a node, we are going to launch a public wallet. So this is currently in testing, and this will enable users who don't run a node or can't run a node, say an iPhone user. You'll be able to still hold native Minima, custom tokens and NFTs on Minima. You'll be able to have access to a Minima wallet, essentially. And this should help drive more engagement and encourage more user interaction. Also gives us a better way to engage people at events.
And also, just to say that is, sorry, just to interrupt, Jazz, that's also non-custodial as well. So effectively, you're effectively connecting to the network. You'll have your own node and your own seed phrase for that, basically. So it's not as non-custodial solution.
Yeah, exactly. We also have a block explorer currently in testing, so that will be launched soon. And in terms of integrations, we have Meg, which is our Minima e-gateway, and this is an integration tool for exchanges, enterprise, and developers, which acts as a bridge between Minima and other systems. So this allows you to create your own API to interact with a Minima node and create triggers from on-chain events. So there can be a two-way connection between systems, other external systems, and Minima. And this is what we've been using to help with our exchange integration. So we will be making this tool more widely available in the coming weeks, and look forward to getting people's feedback on it. It's quite a powerful tool. Another integration that we've developed is with Streamer. So Streamer is one of our partners. They have a peer-to-peer streaming network that runs over Polygon, and it allows you to create live data streams that you can subscribe to publicly. So we now have a stream for our peers and our top block. So this can potentially be used for somebody who wishes to join the Minima network. They can subscribe to Minima's Streamer stream, and we will be releasing a mini dApp that showcases this use case, and also releasing documentation on how other people could create their own stream and integrate this into a mini dApp. So that's on the integrations side. And then finally, from kind of developer experience, we are giving our docs a facelift, so they should be easier to navigate because there's a lot in there, a lot of content in there, and we're going to be improving the search and just the kind of general look and feel of it. We are also working with 4 interns based in Sweden. They are studying a blockchain and coding course, and we have them on 2 separate projects working on practical applications for Minima. So that's been a really useful experience internally, seeing how developers are finding the onboarding process and where we can improve our documentation and the kind of process of onboarding. So that's really opened our eyes and will help us also improve the build website going forward, and hopefully kind of build out that knowledge base and experience for new developers. So that's all from me today. Thanks, Neo.
Thank you, Jazmin. All right. So I just wanted to recap a few things. Firstly, I've noticed someone asked me about the listing date. Yes, it is the 5th of November. Secondly, I forgot to mention this, there is going to be a recording for this call. So if you want to go back and watch it, it will be on YouTube when it's on YouTube. Let's hope by the end of the week, I'll make sure, okay? Now moving on, we're going to go to the stage questions. So we had a lot of questions, a lot of good questions. I'm just going to start off with the first one, which is for Jazmin. Sorry, Jazmin. From Paul, what are the plans to improve the user experience of Minima-made mini dApps as they are directly from Minima? As they are directly from Minima, I would expect a polished user experience. They do a valid job as a proof of concept, though.
Okay, thanks. I'm not sure whether they have a particular mini dApp in mind, but we're constantly finessing and improving our dApps based on feedback and the priorities that we have at the time. So, for example, with this release, we have overhauled Block and the Docs mini dApps. So those ones have had a little TLC. we're always trying to strike a balance between releasing new functionality that provides utility and demonstrates what Minima is capable of versus maintaining existing dApps. And we do gather feedback over time from the community and make sure that we address them. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, just a reminder, I mean, we are still a small team, and I noticed this as well. Like the first 6 months of this year, we had a lot of mini dApps in production, and then the final 6 months are basically us reworking what we've released and older mini dApps. You will like this next release. Another question from Paul. Since the current TPS is just 5, when will L2 implementation come into picture? Look how low the TPS killed Cardano's momentum a few years back. It's absolutely important for adoption. Another one for you, Jazmin, sorry.
Okay, sure. Yeah, totally agree that layer 2 is essential if we want wide mass adoption. So it will be a core focus of ours in the first half of 2025.
Okay, thank you. Now onwards to another set of questions from Punished Plainview. The first one is, could you elaborate on the primary industries or sectors where Minima protocol aims to have the most impact? Are there any specific real-world use cases that you are currently prioritizing? I think that's one for you, Hugo.
Yeah, sure. I mean, as I say, this, we are concentrating on a couple of key areas, key verticals. The first one is, as Adam mentioned, the sort of automotive vertical. I think the reason why that is so interesting is because obviously as an industry it's moving at breakneck speed in terms of going from sort of combustion engine to electric vehicles and from drivers to driverless vehicles, and so and none of that technology has been sort of it's not, no, they're not having that hasn't existed until now. And in many ways, cars are the perfect example of a permissionless network. Everyone has to drive on a motorway, but none of the cars actually trust each other. But now that they've become autonomous and electrified, they're going to need to be able to do that. So we've definitely found a lot of interest and a lot of sort of energy and time spent on looking at solutions for that. And obviously, we've now had I've been working with the automotive industry for a long time. We've been embedding nodes on the head units of vehicles so that vehicles can talk to each other, so that vehicles can then talk to EV charging stations, and obviously can also talk to the people through their phones who get into the cars as well. So there's a lot of areas in there that is important. We'll go into a bit more detail why chip is so important for that as well in a second. But that's a really big area for us. So automotive and also mobility, and obviously IoT is a huge area as well. I mean, IoT is such a massive sort of word in terms of anything connected, really. But as you know, as devices go to right to the edge and to autonomous economic units, AI agents at the edge, then they're going to need a way to be able to communicate peer-to-peer, to transfer value, to generate tokens, to do data attestation at the edge in a way that doesn't have to rely talking back to centralized entities. So this is this is an apolitical discussion here. This is just a practical reality of how companies will have to build out their network of devices. And so there's a lot of areas that we are working within there, whether it's sort of shipping, fleet management, or within sensors as well. So there's a lot of areas there that is proving to be a sort of a hotbed of opportunities for us. But again, we'll go into some more details because there's some other good questions in there as well. But that's sort of overview.
Sorry, am I muted? No. Okay, cool. Sorry, yeah. Okay, so on to the next question. Is Minima targeting a particular user base, such as developers, enterprises, or individual consumers, or is the goal to encompass a broader audience? And how do you foresee adoption across different regions or user demographics? Hugo.
Oh yeah, I'll take that one as well. I mean, as I say, we're definitely looking for a broad audience. I mean, what we're obviously looking to do is embed ourselves into all connected devices, whether that's a mobile phone or a car or a toaster or a door sensor and stuff like that, basically. So we're looking at all of those different areas. So enterprises who can obviously have they have lots of customers and they need to deliver solutions for them. We have individual consumers who want to be able to be sort of in charge of their own value and have self-sovereignty ownership of that. And also obviously developers to help sort of solutions. I think we often talk about the fact that what we're looking to do eventually is effectively sort of hide the blockchain solution from everybody, a bit like Intel Inside. So effectively, you get in your car, you unlock it with an NFT, you then go to a charging station, having successfully overtaken loads of cars who've talked to each other securely, and then you effectively can then pay for charging, all of which are very consumer friendly, convenient solutions that will be empowered by and enabled by our blockchain solution in the back end, but it won't be something that they're necessarily coming into contact with as crypto natives. These will be the mass public looking to just have a more convenient life, and so that's what we're working on. So we're bringing many ways sort of Web 2 companies into Web 3 by effectively abstracting away the complexity of blockchain and just giving them very consumer-friendly, easy solutions. And so what we've always talked about is, top-down, bottom-up approach. So we can talk to bottom-up in terms of sort of more crypto natives, in terms of self-sovereign ownership and identity within owning running a full node from a simple Google Play download right up to sort of enterprise clients who are looking for huge deployments across all of their devices to create a secure network for value transfer. So it's a very broad audience, and we're sort of managing both those throughout.
Sorry, Hugo, I put you on the spot twice. I didn't mean to.
That's all right. I know.
All right. Next question from the same person, Punish Plain View, is in regards to marketing strategies. He would like to know I'm just going to say it out loud. Could you share insights on the marketing strategies Minima is using to drive awareness and adoption? Are you focusing more on the grassroots community growth or institutional partnerships to scale the network? I think that's one for Luke.
Yeah, I already unmuted myself. I had a feeling that was coming my way. My turn in the hot seat. As Hugo already mentioned, it's kind of both a top-down and bottom-up approach. It's about the institutional partnerships of industry. They both help to raise awareness and credibility through association with them, but they also will deliver vast numbers of nodes. In many cases where the end user doesn't actually really know or appreciate that they're using blockchain, and that's huge, as we all understand. The holy grail of Web3 is in getting the average consumer using the technology, and it's something that all projects try to achieve and many struggle with. We're looking at a solution here where it just exists and does its thing, whether they know it's there or not. But equally, on the other side of that coin, whilst not necessarily delivering the same volume of nodes, that grassroots adoption is critical to Web3 natives understanding the power of what we're doing here. And this is why you will see us making efforts to engage on board projects, particularly in the deep in sector, as well as where the individual user can benefit from their Minima nodes directly. And also you're going to see investment going into the community activation side of things, which is obviously managed by yourself, Neo.
All right. Thank you. Another question, same person. There's how many? Five questions total from Punish Plain View. The next one is collaborations and partnerships. So he asked if we could highlight any significant partnerships that Minima has recently formed, especially in automotive, IoT, or other technology sectors. And how do we see these collaborations influencing the growth and stability of the Minima network? Adam went over a lot of these, so I think he's just going to skim through them. If you could, Adam, please.
Absolutely. Yes. So thank you very much. So we've talked a lot about automotive. The use cases that we're working on are the EV charging payments, particularly in offline scenarios. And again, this is trying to tackle the problem of today's infrastructure. The public infrastructure isn't able to cope with the projected growth of electric vehicles coming onto the roads in the next decade. And so the solution that we're helping to forge is where private wallbox owners can become part of the public infrastructure. So that is an important area of growth. Equally, this huge interest on battery passport or digital product passport, and this is being driven by EU regulations. So by 2026, all new cars are going to have a data recorder, and all products with batteries are going to have a product passport. So again, having our technology sitting at the edge, verifying the data from the products themselves is driven by EU regulations, and therefore it's going to become a ubiquitous case. So we are happy to be working with big players in the area, in the region, global players. We have a number of ongoing discussions, and we're working both as an incubator partner, but also as a direct solution provider with very, very large energy providers. Motorsports we've touched on as well, and we thank our collaborators in this, which is Race Labs, who have the McLaren GT3 and 4 cars that we've shown in our videos, and also Influx Technologies, which have made a very sophisticated data logger with the ability to firewall the engine data against the apps that are put on their platform. So this is a demonstration of how this new technology is beginning to creep into everyday applications. And we are, as I also mentioned, talking to a lot of deep-in companies. We are soon to be announcing a partnership with a solar cell deep-in company, the fractionalized ownership of solar panels with an incentive reward mechanism inbuilt. We've also started several partnerships in the transport sector with drone technology and shipping. We are also discussing online gaming platforms with incredibly large reach and general sport fan engagement. So lots of partnerships and collaborations, all with the incentive for us that we get large adoption. So with more nodes brings more security, brings higher resilience to the network, and this distributed and decentralized blockchain means that more value can actually be gained on-chain. So these partnerships, again, are verifying that what is good for individuals is also good for enterprise adoption.
All right. Thank you very much, Adam. Moving on, another question. So chip development. Minima has been working on expanding to IoT devices. Could you update us on the progress of the chip development and integration for this purpose? When do you plan to publicly announce or demonstrate the chip technology being developed? Hugo, would you like to answer that?
Sure thing, yes. So we can't specifically say yet who it is, but we can say that we're in both a production and commercial partnership with this company, and this gives us access to their IP portfolio companies as well, and only 120 or so companies in the whole world have this. It is a very significant relationship that we're building, and it's one that only Minima has the form factor to be able to achieve. And in terms of timing, the roadmap for sort of a first testable product takes typically sort of 18 to 24 months. So this will be something that we will be announcing, and then we'll be keeping the community up to date on all of these things. We will also be working with our chosen design house that is sort of registered and approved by the chip designer, and we'll be announcing that too. And then this effectively gets translated into a circuit integration designed and then followed up by modeling and then physical testing once we get to sort of manufacture. So we will also be using this partner to help us with discussions with enterprise customers who are very interested in embedding this technology on chip. I mean, I think that at this stage it might be, just to give you a quick a sort of rationale for why blockchain on chip is so sort of important for enterprise clients, because it's not just a software download, because effectively what you're doing by putting it on chip is you're isolating it from critical functions. So you're keeping the blockchain services on a separate chip, it ensures that they don't interfere with the essential functions of a device, such as a vehicle or something like that, basically. Because obviously when you get into vehicles, this is literally a matter of life and death. So they have to adhere to very strict performance and safety standards, and we're able to do that by embedding on chip. Also, from a regulatory compliance perspective, by isolating the blockchain from the primary embedded systems, this also means that companies can more easily comply with safety and legal regulations, and it also minimises the need to alter core systems, which obviously, when you get into that level of sort of device management on a vehicle, it's very, very important. Also, by putting it on chip effectively, you have a dedicated system on chip ensures that the blockchain tasks can run efficiently without impacting the rest of the computational resources within the device as well. So that is something very important as well. And it also means that you can sort of embed it without disrupting existing systems. And it also means it simplifies updates as well, so that effectively the system on chip can operate separately from that, from the rest of the core systems. So there's lots of reasons why this isn't just sort of a nice to have. This is the only way that enterprise clients are actually going to be able to embed a blockchain into their systems, and obviously they can only do that if those systems can actually run in full on the device itself. So, it's a very big step change. As always with these things, unlike the pace of the rest of crypto, which can move on a daily basis, and when you're getting into embedded systems that are sort of focused purely on security and safety for their customers, then these things have to go through rigorous testing, and this is the process that we've started to go through. But we always talk about, for those community know me, I always talk about building a stone house on a granite foundation rather than a straw house on sand. This will be something that will stand us in hugely good stead in moving forwards. And once we get that level of adoption, then it really drives the numbers up that we're looking at as well, because you're onboarding hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of devices at that point. So it's a real massive step change. So yeah, we're very much looking forward to announcing the partnership in November. So stay tuned for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Hugo. Don't go too far, because this next one is also for you, but I think it's going to be a little shorter to reply to. It's just regarding our announcements and our future plans. Are there any upcoming announcements or milestones that the community can look forward to in the coming months? Especially, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, we've sort of mentioned them before, but I'll just sort of re-mention them. So obviously Omnia, as Jazz mentioned, our layer 2 solution, that will be coming in early 2025. That will give us the ability to, scale the number of transactions to, infinite number off-chain transactions. So that's very exciting and very important for the type of enterprise clients and sort of solutions that we're looking to build. Obviously, we have the Mega Wallet, which will effectively be an iOS integration, so anyone with iPhones can use it, but anyone else can use it as well. So there'll be a lot of sort of activations that we'll be using where people won't have to necessarily start to run a node in order to be able to interact with the Minima network. And then obviously, the chip development will be a huge area for us as well. And we're obviously looking to, and on the market side, we'll be looking to increase our number of exchanges as well into 2025.
All right. Thank you, Hugo. We're just going to go through maybe 2-3 more questions before we wrap this up. So the next one is from Virgil, who's asking when multilingual versions of Minima are going to be available for the community. So Luke, could you?
Yeah, I'll take that. Nice short and sweet answer. Yep. We're looking at producing localized versions of the website and localized versions of the Minima APK in Q4 this year and Q1 25 respectively. Here you go.
Right, thank you. Next one is from Desica. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. It's about Minima. So sorry. Desica says Minima needs a lot of nodes to secure the network. Is there a risk that number is reducing? Should the community know the node count to know if it would threaten the network and their investment? The fact that the amazing motorsport video only got 600 views on YouTube worries them. Luke, again?
Yeah, cool. I'll just jump in before Luke. Sorry, Luke. Just to say, so in terms of the number of nodes on the network, I mean, we always knew that once the incentives to run a node stopped when we were in our testnet stage, that there would be a drop-off of node runners. I mean, we still have a significant number of node runners still on the networks. Obviously, if you have Minima coins, then you need a Minima node in order to be able to access it. But again, we've always sort of gone through that bootstrapping period. We know that, firstly, the network hasn't gone down once since we launched our mainnet in February 2023. We're very, very happy about that. What we're obviously doing now is looking at ways to drive node count through our enterprise adoption and our sort of deepen projects as well. So, you know, the ease at which nodes can be set up and run is going to be our winning formula, because there's almost zero friction to actually running a node, and that's always been our aim. And then obviously once it gets on chip, then device will be running it without even having to be asked about it. So that's a sort of our journey that we're on at the moment.
Yeah, and I was just going to say that that video in particular is on YouTube. It's not just on YouTube; it's on X as well. And across both platforms, we've actually had over 5,000 views since Wednesday of last week. We're going to be doing paid advertising, like I said earlier on, before the end of the year to promote things such as this video. But to my earlier point, everyone can help us get more views by taking action when you watch these videos. Don't just watch it, retweet it, share, show it to others. You know, that is what's going to increase the potential of anything we put out attaining, you know, virality ultimately. I would also like to say that it isn't just the view count that matters, but it's often the quality of those who are actually watching the video. And based on some of the people that we've had come to us since Token 2014 and off the back of this video, I'm pretty confident that it's already delivering for us. Cheers.
Okay. Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Hugo. And the last question before we wrap up this call is from Lewis C5, and he's asking if we know if the exchange on which Native Minima is going to list will support trading for US peoples.
No, it won't support US citizens at this stage. We are looking at options to be able to have exchanges that will do that, but not at this stage.
All right, thank you, Hugo. It is now 4:55, and Spartacus Rex is not here, which is why the call didn't go beyond the expected time. I hope everyone is satisfied with what they heard and what's to come. So thank you very much for attending.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers all.
Great to see you all. Great to see you all. Thanks very much.
All right.
Talk soon.
Cheers.